Lake Effect brings you conversations about what's happening in Milwaukee and the people, places, and organizations that shape the community. This is Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR.
Cinco de Mayo is a day when Mexican Americans celebrate their heritage. Here in Milwaukee, that can mean a lot of things: parties, fireworks, and some less than desirable driving. Generally, the festivities take place on the city's south side, where Milwaukee's Latino community is concentrated. And Cesar Chavez Drive has often been the center of activity. So this year, the Cesar Chavez BID has organized a street festival and market to celebrate the holiday in a safe way, blocking off the street with vendors and activities for people of all ages. Sinaí Mendoza is the executive director of the Cesar Chavez Business Improvement District, or BID. She joins Lake Effect's Joy Powers to share more.
Anyone who lives on the south side knows that Cinco de Mayo really brings people out into the area, into the streets, for better or worse. What is Cinco de Mayo generally like on Cesar Chavez?
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years, we've had a group of people, coming out, celebrating, driving their cars around the street with their flags. Unfortunately, hasn't been organized as it should be, right? There has no been an organization really putting these groups together and allowing for the space for healthy and safe celebrations to happen. I mean, that's the narrative, right? I think some of us have seen it on social media, also on the news. It can be a little chaotic if you would describe it, right? People, if you ask them, they'll say chaotic. But it is also a way that people are looking to celebrate and embrace their identity. So, yeah.
It's a hard line to walk because I think a lot of people want to see celebration, of course, but then there's the concern over reckless driving, the concern over the safety of vehicles in general. What are some of the concerns that you hear from folks in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You said it, right? Reckless driving, that is the biggest concern. It not only affects the individuals that are driving themselves, but also the pedestrians or other neighbors, right? Their cars could be crashed or cause all sorts of commotions that do not need to happen. But the big concern is the reckless driving that is going on. Also, small gatherings or gatherings that can get out of hand. There's no supervision. People can get in altercations, and then things can get out of hand, right? Where there's no police or safety around it, and everyone just kind of does whatever they want. So that's been some of the concern. But yeah.
So as the Cesar Chavez BID, how have you guys responded to kind of the concerns, but also the desire to have a celebration?
Yeah, so 16th Street, Cesar Chavez Drive, is a pretty historical street, right? The BID has been around for 20 years, but the street itself, it's been there. It's home and a lot of immigrants, Latino immigrants of the South Side. We have some of the biggest stores in there. We have Array. We also have 16th Street Clinic, who have done amazing work to supporting our community. And so the street itself is pretty historical. It's Cesar Chavez, a famous activist, right, labor rights. So there's meaning on the street. There's identity to that. And what we've done as a BID in my last year or so is organize spaces where people can still, they embrace their identity, right? Whether it is your Latinidad, your Mexicanez, whatever that is. We want to make sure that people are seen and that they're having spaces that are controlled and they can have fun, right? Show a different way of having fun. We don't need to be driving around the streets up and down, putting other individuals at risk. But maybe we can just gather together, have a bunch of activities for our children. We want to make sure that the kids, the youth, are also involved in this process and show them there's a different alternative. There's a different way to celebrating, a safer way to celebrating.
So what is that alternative going to look like? Now, I should say Cinco de Mayo itself is going to be a Monday. This will be on the weekend, I believe. So
yes, so this will be on the weekend, on Sunday, the day before to May 5th. So for this celebration, we have put together an outdoor market. We want to support our local businesses in the area, not only the ones that are in the corridor, but also all the other businesses that are starting and then they find markets throughout the summer. Right now, the economy is not at its best, right? So we want to make sure that these businesses are also supportive and then we're all showing up as a community and being there for each other. And more than anything, too, changing the narrative of kind of what happens on Chavez Drive. People oftentimes don't feel safe or like maybe going around the neighborhood walking because the reckless driving or it's not for me, like shalala, whatever narrative it's out there. But the space itself it's fulfilled with beautiful stories, with businesses who have been there for 20 plus years. And there's some of the sweetest people, like resilient people that you can ever meet, right? It just takes that opportunity, that space for you to connect with them. So this year we'll be doing that. We have an open outdoor market. We have about 40, 50 vendors. We have food trucks. We have all sorts of vendors. And then we have about 20 plus community resources. We have different organizations that will be joining us. There's a heavy emphasis on youth resources. The summer is coming, right? We want parents to have resources for their children, activities that they could do throughout the summer, camps or things that they can sign them up so they can have some fun. And then we also have a variety of activities that we'll be doing. We have a lowrider exhibition. The first hour and a half of the event will be open for people to ride their bikes. Children, we also have a bike workshop. So that's part of, including this healthy moving around the city narrative as well. And we're partnering up with organizations like Oakley Familia, who is a Latino cycling club. We have different performances, Aztec dance, folklore. And one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is that we will be having a brainstorm session for a mural that will be going up in September for our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, which will happen same on 16th Street. But those are some of the things that will be going on. There's lots of food, music. So please, I encourage you all to come out to enjoy the celebrations and more than anything to experience community.
Very nice. So are you guys closing off a part of Cesar Chavez?
Yeah, we are closing from 16 on Greenfield all the way to 16 on Mineral. So that is like 2.5 blocks. It is once you look at it, it's like in a map, it doesn't look that big, but it is a pretty big chunk of a space to cover. So yeah, from Greenfield on 16 to Mineral on 16th Street.
Very nice. I'm sure that'll help also with folks who might be driving down Cesar Chavez to at least divert them a bit.
Correct. So the lateral streets too will be blocked as well, obviously for the safety of our participants, for people to come out. But yeah, so then that way it kind of blocks so people don't go south or north on 16th Street. It just clusters right in the center of the neighborhood.
Well, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us here on Lake Effect.
Absolutely.
Sinaí Mendoza is the executive director of the Cesar Chavez BID, and she spoke with Lake Effect's Joy Powers. The Cinco de Mayo outdoor market will be held this Sunday, May 4th on Cesar Chavez Drive, with things kicking off at 1 o'clock.
You can find more interviews like this one by visiting wuwm.com/Lake Effect. And while you're there, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast.